Up on Monday, up on Tuesday, up on Wednesday, up on Thursday, up on Friday. New highs for the week as we speak. New high for the recent move. All-time high. Well, if you're looking at the cash and the Qs, you sure are. S&P futures, different story. Deal with China. We're not happened 2 days ago. Not really sure what the deal is, but it's a deal, right? More bullish. Nike off and running. How many times are you going to hear that today? Russell rebalance. You're going to hear a lot of great information of that. Stocks already moving off that. We will go into details. Tommy Lackey Jr., 835 Relativity Capital Advisors. He'll give us his take on the markets. We're all fired up here on this PCE Friday. Keep your head on a swivel. Pre-market prep begins right now.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. This is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
Okay, let's run down. S&P's held the close up 23 1/4 handles at 52.18 1/4. USO up slightly 73.95. That's 36 cents. Who needs gold nowadays here? Down 440 at 302.30. Bitcoin off slightly. IWM up. Everything up on this morning. Let's bring up Triple D. And we got to convince the chat that we didn't label them all as bots. You see there's numbers behind everyone in the chat here? Just about everyone? Do you see that?
Look at this in the pre-market prep chat. Carmen Haluga, 5,700. Raster Bell, 4,503. Gabe Fave, 6,706. What's happened? Do you guys always have those numbers after you? 61. Oh, look, I'm a number 2.
What are you? Number 1.
No, 921. Why do we have numbers after us? Is that right? Why is there numbers after us? Why did we get numbers? Why did YouTube number us?
How do you know about this, Joel?
Look at the chat.
Did you plan something?
Every single person in our chamber has his number. Like we're all numbered.
No, not.
You got the 000.
Not some of our spammers. They don't have them.
We did not do this. I'm 921. Look, I'm going to test. Dennis Dick, 921. Why am I a 921?
Are you still? But
why are we numbered?
If you do it again, are you a number again? Does it give you a different number?
Yeah,
Is it tracking you? Do it again.
921.
You're 921.
D-factor, 7310. They've
have
all
we been
numbered
hacked?
us.
You know,
I don't know. Those have taken us over. Now they've numbered us so they can better track us. Tommy Lackey is 3186. Carly is 3578.
You know
they
what?
Numbered us.
Hey, wait a second. Maybe we've been hacked. Maybe we should cancel the show today.
Well, it wouldn't be us hacked because we're just running on YouTube. Maybe YouTube.
You think
now
YouTube's hacked?
Stuff like that. People get scared. I don't think we've been hacked, but something's going on. Joel, you type yours number, or you don't.
Well, I go on pre-market prep. So if I send a nasty message,
Emily Weiser is normal.
Let's see.
Everybody else, pre-market prep itself is normal. What the heck, man? Tommy Lackey, 3186. So we're just going to go by our numbers now. So it's like we're totally AI now. We've all been numbered.
But not Slava Dabadoo.
Slava Dabadoo is normal. I'm not.
I don't know what I did.
That is so weird.
They
added numbers to our usernames.
Now you know they want you to go to Google now. To Google, see, they want you to go. They're trying to get the search up. So we're going to go numbers.
This whole world's gone AI now. Now that they've numbered.
Numbers.
I'm kind of scared now, actually, for the end of the world. Now that they're numbering us.
Okay.
Now we're just numbered. I will forever just be known now. I already forget my number. I have to do test again. Test to see my number again. I will forever now be known as 921. That's all I am is 921. Yes, you two guys are still too cool. Okay, you don't have numbers. We have numbers. 921. Carmen, we're calling you 5700 forever. Carmen's in the S10. 5700. Yeah,
Okay,
Martin,
5700.
175. I don't know what number Plasma is because Plasma I blocked. I'm the only person I've ever blocked. So Plasma, I'm sorry.
It says you can go to YouTube profile and change it, but where did why? Like, why do I have to do that?
This is funny.
All right. Let's get the show on the road.
Dave, you got a number 6706.
What's
Money Mitch is 6269.
Oh, that's
why do we have numbers? Money Mitch.
Number.
Ask Money Mitch. Money Mitch knows how you work. Money Mitch, why did we all get numbers today? Why did we all get numbers? Jay Rice is 6153.
Look at Jim and stuff.
You got to remember
Jim
the
and
new numbers.
Stuff won.
Where's the tinfoil? Money Mitch, find out why we all have numbers because Money Mitch knows YouTube. Okay.
Right.
Money Mitch.
Well, I was just to say,
let's get to the show.
If we were in the Benzinga office, I'd be like, Brent, dig. Find out.
We got Money Mitch. Dig. Why do we have numbers all of a sudden?
I know there's news. News. Okay.
Brent digs in the STN room. I yell at Brent every day. Dig, Brent, dig for me. 3:30 to 5 is all digging. It's the digging.
Then you know what I say back? I said, if there's no news, then
he's
just
got the digging glasses on, so he doesn't get dirt in his eyes.
All right, this is worse than sports. Okay.
This is the worst talk ever. But I don't know why we all have numbers. I don't know why. No idea. But we all got numbered. We got numbered. YouTube numbered us. Okay. Continuing on with the show, because the show must go on despite AI taking over and numbering us all. Let's just start out. Forget the macro talk. We start out macro talk every day, and I'm bored with the macro talk. Let's talk Nike earnings because we got a good earnings report.
Okay, let's stick to the outline.
But the stock bounces anyway because this is what this market does. Stocks only go up. Nike up $6.62. The earnings were not good whatsoever. It doesn't matter because the bar was so low, it was below the ground. 14 cents versus 11 cents. So that is a beat. 11.1 billion versus 10.72 billion. That's a beat. Well, I guess it's not that bad. Then direct sales were down 14%. Wholesale revenue down 9%. Gross margin declined 440 basis points. That doesn't sound great either. Stock traded down until the conference call. And on the call, they started talking. It sounds like it's like, the bottom of the cycle here, and we got blue skies ahead. And they just ripped the stock. I'm sure there was some, I didn't listen to the call. Whoever did can tell the direct commentary, but I'm sure they said something about, hey, it's not going to be as bad. We're kind of bottoming out here. And the stock blasted off, just took off. Also, Fast Money, everybody on Fast Money wanted to buy the stock too, so that may have helped as well. Up 10.49% here right now. It's a huge rebound for Nike. We're in a bull market, folks, where stocks only go up. Big move here. Nikester, Joel, what do we do now?
Have I ever told my low jokes?
Oh,
they're
no.
real quick. You're so low, Dennis.
Oh, no.
You play handball. Are you ready? You're so low, Dennis. You play handball with the curve.
I knew it was going to be a bad one.
This one's better. Dennis, you're so low, you have to look up to scratch a snake's belly.
I kind of laughed on that one. So that was Nike. They were so low. The bar was so low and had to look up to scratch the snake's belly. Okay, the bar was so low here, folks. Nobody expected Nike to say anything good. Nothing good. It's like the Tesla bar next week. Gene Munster, tangent for a second. July 2nd, on Wednesday next week, Tesla reports sales. Gene Munster said they're going to be a disaster, but the stock's going to go up anyways because everybody knows they're going to be a disaster. So there you go. I mean, when you know everything's going to be a disaster, you can't go lower, right? So there's Nike. Nike moving higher here, the lowest bar of all. It's dragged everything else up with it, though. So we have a lot of peer plays here, folks. No,
before you get to that,
give me technicals, and then we're going to talk.
I'm just all right. First of all, support is the bid. Okay, that's because it seems like it will trade and then go higher. I just say if you've been looking for a gap fill since the middle of March, that gap fill comes in at 71.52 and is saying from yesterday, why the hell not? That's another $2.50 away.
Why the hell not? That's the theme now for like the year 2025. Why the hell not?
Yep. And I'm just wondering. I know. All right, go to your sympathetic plays.
Okay.
Oh,
so
look at Dick's at 200.
In the old days, it would be Lululemon and Under Armour. Well, they're both kind of going up. I did buy some UA on it, but in the new days, we have all kinds of other pure plays here. On, Crocs, Birk, BIRK. You can go into DKS is always there. Dick's is trading up. Deckers. In the old days, it'd always be Foot Locker. That was the one that moved the most, but then they took the stock over, and now it doesn't move on it anymore. So no fun for Foot Locker. But I just gave you 7 of them. Lulu, UA, On, Crocs, Burke, DKS, and Deckers, all trading higher on the Nike. Not so bad report. Thoughts, concerns, anything strike your fancy, Mr. Elconin, and the technicals, all those stuff they just threw at you?
Yeah, I got the stretch. How I talked you out of JP Morgan at $29.99.
No, I never forgave you for that. The stock is up now 1,000%.
I own it.
1,000% from those lows here. Even though it got downgraded today, I'm still mad at you forever. Eternally mad. I'm going to buy at 32. No, you're going to get at 29. And I didn't go to 29, and it went to 287. So when you're putting something in your long-term investment account, don't try to save the last dollar.
Well, you're getting even because of the dicks here. I stayed out of that, but maybe we'll get a nice pullback.
Mitch you wanted to buy dicks. I forgot. It's been moving.
Yeah, well, everything's. I mean, you could throw a dart, but Mitch made a good point. This whole Foot Locker thing going to shake out, right? I don't know, but apparel, Dick's is moving off this. I think it's a good thing. What are the other? Under Armour. Oh, what about Under Armour? Is that moving off this? I always think
a little bit. I'm long. I went along both of them, UA and UAA. You can pick your poison. I went along both of them just when Nike turned. I'm still long them. It's up 2%, but I'm trying to wiggle my way out of these things here. This is just scalps for off the number when Nike went the other way. So I'll be selling them somewhere at the open here, hoping they open a little bit higher.
Okay, good sign. Good sign for retail. People are spending money, buying shoes. Haven't looked at on in a while. That's on support here. That's trading up 93 cents. Filled the gap. That was probably an earnings gap. So that's looking popping up today. Going to work on that red bar so far this month. And let's just go real broad here, and then we can move on. XRT. Up 40 cents off this. Just kind of hanging out. Nothing real special. If you're trading the XRT, which is only up 3 cents. So far, the high of the week is 77.77. So keep an eye on that for XRT.
So you're speaking of on, and this is going to be my segue into the Russell, because Russell 3000 is adding on and a number of other stocks. So I did some homework here. The homework list is broad. These are all your ads and all your deletes. There's 20 pages of ads and deletes. There's a whole bunch of them. You can go to the Russell site, just Google Russell reconstitution, go on, and you can find all of the information of all of the Russell rebalance. But what I've done for you is I've taken it a step further for everyone in the STN room and everyone here in PreMarket Prep. Wow. I have actually highlighted the companies that are widely known, more traded, because a lot of tickers on those symbols, symbols on this list that you're just not going to know. There's small companies, trade by appointment only stocks. But there's some big ones here too. So for instance, of the Russell 3000, which I've done this list, if you want to screenshot it, go ahead. That's what my list looks like. The 3000 ads, I'll just highlight the main ones here. Chewy, CHWY, Oklo, On is an ad as well. QUBT, Reddit. Everybody likes Reddit. And then they're getting into smaller names. Flutter, Clover, some blasts from the past in here. Of the micro ads, QMCO, which is a little quantum stock, Nuke, NUKK, money Mitch picked there. Fuel Cell, FCEL, blasts in the past. Sava, Beyond Meat, BYON, Triple D. Look, an old ticker symbol there. DDD, which is 3D Systems. SRFM, UMAC. Quite a few names here on there. And then the deletes. I'm just going to talk deletes really quickly, and then we're going to go into strategy on this. So deletes are QBTS, RGTI. And again, sometimes they're deleted because they're going up. So the micro, they're going from the micro to the bigger. So it's not always necessarily a bad thing. Soundhound, SOUN. ChargePoint, iRobot. It's in the micro. Space, SPCE. Just highlighting a few of the big names. HUT, Lunar. They're all in there. So what does this mean? Does this mean you buy all the ads and sell all the deletes?
Nope.
No. That was the trade 25 years ago. Just buy all the ads, sell all the deletes, and make a crap load of money. That's how it used to go. Really, it was that simple. It's not that simple anymore. Why? Because there's a million hedge funds trading the strategies. There's a million other algos trading the strategy. And what happens is that the trades get crowded. So even though they're ads and indexers are going to need to buy these stocks on the close today, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go up. Why? Because sometimes the anticipatory traders, people who are anticipating these things, and they're not anticipating, we've been told they're getting added to the index, but people who are positioning ahead can actually outnumber the indexers. And if that happens, they actually go the other way and the ads go down, the deletes go up. So I've seen some of these Russell rebalances where the ads actually go straight down in the last 10 minutes and the deletes go straight up and everybody's like, what just happened? I'm getting killed. That can happen. Doesn't always happen, but can happen. So what we see typically is just wild action on a lot of these names at the close. Big moves up, big moves down, direction to be determined. How do I play it safely, or at least safer way? There's no safe way to trade because you can always lose money. But a safer way to play it is I'm simply fading those closing moves. So a lot of these stocks I have in this list, I made a list of about 100 names. There's about 500-600 names total. Is I'll be looking for big moves at the close and going the other direction. So if they're running up and closing really strong, I'll short them. If they get killed going down, I'll buy them. We'll be doing all this live in the STN room. Obviously getting prepped at 3:30 and then putting those trades on at the 4 o'clock close. So just basically trading against those closing imbalances and those closing moves that these stocks might have. If you don't know what the Russell Reconstitution is, they do this once a year. It's annual. And they basically just do it by market cap. They take the stocks and they rank them all. And then they're moving the ones that have moved up in market cap out in and the ones that move out market cap out. So it's just a ranking. They do this every year on the 4th Friday in June. They're changing it next year and they're going to do it semi-annually now. So I don't know the dates yet, but it's not going to maybe be on the 4th Friday, or maybe it's going to be twice a year. Well, it's going to be twice a year. Maybe it's going to be the 4th Friday in June, 4th Friday in December. I don't know. But they're doing it twice next year in 2026. But this year, it's still annual. It's tonight. And it often moves stocks all together. Sometimes you see some big moves even on other stuff as well. So you're going to see some crazy moves on the close. It's going to be fun. There's going to be some fireworks. If you've never done a trial to the STN room, it'd be a good time to do it tonight because it'll be a fun night to trade. That's at StockTraderNetwork.com. So that's my little Russell talk. That's the list. I'm prepped for it there. I don't do any of the anticipatory stuff anymore because I used to do that. And I had very much success 25 years ago. And then like 10 years ago, we all got burned. And I'm like, oh, these trades just simply got too crowded. So sometimes these trades can indeed get crowded. But again, you know, this is moves that are done because they need to be done because indexers are going to chase, obviously, a lot of these stocks and have to buy on the close or sell on the close. So when indexers have to do stuff, you have anticipatory traders that try to get ahead of that. And sometimes that works and sometimes it gets crowded and doesn't. So that's the little spiel. Questions, concerns, Joel, Russell, rebalance. We talk about this every
I just want, I mean, you went through a lot of stocks there and gave a lot of ideas. I just, a couple highlights, you know, just real general comments here. Number one is it's a Dennis is looking at this as a fade opportunity.
Yes.
He is not, he's seeing they flip too, you know, sometimes. I mean, well, they don't, you know, depending, the orders come in late. So he has all these ideas in his head, but it's not until he sees the order flow and what is going to be happening. So he's not, you know, he's not chasing this. He's not sitting there all day at his computer trying to buy the stock and then, oh, it's getting added. I'm going to sell at the close. He's just looking for inefficiencies in the market. Yes. Then coming down from there, he looks at liquidity. He looks at, he went through the list. He looked at the volume and everything, and he knows what he'll trade for each stock. If it's a stock that doesn't trade any volume he's not familiar with, he's not even going to bother with it for like 100 shares. So you want to look at liquidity. You want to size properly. And, you know, so that narrows it down. So he's not fading. He's looking at size, you know, the volume of the stock. Is he familiar with it? So it's a lot more complicated than, and then also he's been going over this list every day in the STN room for like 3 or 4 days. So he's already have like a game plan. So good. Watch the action. Take your notes. If you're going to try something, look at the more liquid stocks. But there's going to be some action, and you said they're reducing it this year, right? Or they do it once a year, or they were doing
once a year, but
but
they're doing twice a year next year. They've said it's going to go to semi-annual. They're going to do it twice a year. This rebalancing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
we fun, and this can be a really fun day. Sometimes it's a nothing burger. Sometimes these stocks don't move, but usually there's a few moves. Usually there's some trades. Sometimes there's a lot of trades. Like I've had these days. It's sometimes my best day of the year. Sometimes it's like it was some good trades, and then I have seen the odd year where it's just not much at all. So I mean, you just got to play it carefully. Like that's like why I do the fade trade on it more so than the anticipatory stuff, because I have seen traders get absolutely killed doing the anticipatory stuff, saying I'm gonna buy. I've built a portfolio. I've seen this, break trading, other prop firms too. Build a whole portfolio of the ads, building up to it. It's going well. Ads are going up, and then bang on the last day they just tank them all, and you're like, oh my gosh. I've seen it happen. The trades sometimes get crowded, so it's unpredictable whether it's going to be crowded or not. There's definitely people who have been spooked away from, because sometimes like I said, 25 years ago, the ads would all go up, the deletes would all go down, and we all just make money, and it was like awesome. So it's not that simple anymore. So now it's like figure, everybody's got the list figured out even before they release the list, because it's done by market cap, so it's easy to figure it out. You have a bunch of investment banks, coming out, with their preliminary lists, guessing which ones are going in before the official comes in, and then they get announced, and they're like, oh yeah, but everybody knows this information.
What's Bank of America saying? No,
what's Bank of America saying? What stocks are getting added? S&P.
No, also, folks, if there's like stocks on the list that are getting deleted or added, and let's say a delete, that there's probably been some additional selling pressure on that stock, not really based on the fundamentals, but just based on what people are conjuring up for this rebalance. So
you're darn right.
Yep, just harken back to the S&P add no add fake out scenario, right? Hood was going in, it was going in. No, it's not. Well, it got a strong stock, trending stock, recovered 70.
Just a retail darling.
Retail
so it was
darling
predictable that one would bounce.
Yep. App Lovin' supposed to go in. Well, didn't go in, and hasn't really recovered. LNG is another one. So there's also, just because of the order flow in this, there are longer term effects on stocks. So even if you're not playing this, you're not looking at it. If you have a stock that you like, this is like, what the hell's going on? It's not going up. The market's going up. So there's things to follow. You can follow it through it, but I think after it is something that you could you can get some good cues in the market from. So
and remember, the difference was between these S&P rebalance is those are like people are guessing. There's no guesswork here. These have already been announced that they are officially going in. This is an official list, so it's not like people have guessed this. The Russell released the official list 2 weeks ago. So we know which stocks are going in, and we know which stocks are coming out. There's official lists here. The S&P does not do that. They it's always a guessing game. They may add. They didn't add any last time. They were thinking Bank of America thought they're going to add 2 or 3 stocks, and not any. So you never ever really know. They're not as open book. Russell's a little bit more of an open book here. It's more known, and obviously it's done by market cap. We know the methodology here. Where S&P is done by like votes and committee, and they're like, okay, well, it has to be profitable. There's certain rules that make it to add to the S&P 500. Got to be profitable for 4 straight quarters, all the other stuff. But, it's different with the Russell reconstitution. It's simply by market cap. So it's a lot easier for investment banks to figure it all out. That's the Russell talk.
Okay.
Speculation mania here, though, still running rampant. And CYN was maybe the most rampant stock yesterday, and it looks like it's going to be the most rampant stock today. So CYN comes out with this headline, which we talked about, from NVIDIA, that they were, being chosen by NVIDIA, even though when we went to this blog, there was 10 other companies and the same thing chosen. But they highlighted it with the PR yesterday morning. Stock went from $5 to $40 yesterday, Joel. Just insane move. What did they do around 11:30 a.m.? They're like, holy crap, our stock's up so much, we better do an offering.
Oh, yeah.
They did an intraday equity offering there. So they popped on their press release and then they did an offering, and then the stock tanked. Well, lo and behold, you can't keep these hot retail darlings down. It's went from 13 close up to $22 last night there. I know Lynn was trading, and a couple of us had it in the STN room there too. I obviously sold way too soon here and didn't make hardly anything. If I would have held it overnight, would have killed it. I know Mike in the STN room did a little bit better. He held it into the Robinhood close, which was it was trading up 16 or 17 on Robinhood last night. It's 23 here now. So I mean, if you're buying at 13 yesterday, you just made 72% on your money overnight here. Haven't even had a regular session here yet. I do think like the top is in. I don't think it's going back to 40. I did the offering. These things get wild. These low floaters, when they come out with an AI press release, especially when it mentions NVIDIA, go nuts. The algos get all antsy in their pantsy and they just can't help themselves. That's what this is. Wild child central stocks trading up. I think it's a bounce to be sold.
I'm not going to do any technicals on this one.
Just too wild. I'll say major resistance up at $41.
Okay.
So multiple. So the new flavor of the day, because the algos, this was the flavor yesterday, and they're trying to make it the flavor again today. But we've got another one here. So we had this blue gold thing, IPO, BGL yesterday. I don't know if it's a SPAC or IPO, but it's had 1 day of trading. It went off the board at 20. Today it's 91. Why the hell not, Joel? Why the hell not take the dollars that's traded from 18 to 29 yesterday, or $30? Today, 91. We'll just go 91. Why? Because why? Because we're in a bull market and where speculation's running rampant and we're at all-time highs. We're just going to buy the stock up 323%. So the spread on this puppy has been $4, $5, $6 in the pre-market. That's the spread. 100 by 100. It's trade kind of by appointment only, but it's trade 99,000 shares in the pre-market. It's going to do some trading. This thing is wildly thin, wild. I'm not trading any of this stuff. When you've got 5, 6, 7 point spreads, that's my 10% spreads. That's my to stay away. But we want to highlight this stuff because it's just giving a theme here. That speculation is just coming to this market and it is running crazy. So that's good for other stocks. Think about some of these darlings from 2020 that have been beaten up and just dead and left for dead. Some of those are starting to perk up again. We were talking about short squeezes a couple days ago where we saw Hertz, Car getting, bought up. There was a couple other stocks. I can't remember some of those smaller names that were getting squeezed. BBAI getting squeezed. You're starting to see some of those smaller stocks get squeezed a little bit. That's where we're at right now. We're back to algos squeezing stocks and retail and social media moving stuff and Kramer effect fully back. We're just painting the picture where we are. Speculation running rampant here. The other one that really popped off, and I didn't write it down. What was it? BB. Did you write it down, Joel? It was a press release at 7 a.m. I can go to my top percent gainers and quickly get it. BBLG. BBLG came out with a press release at 7 a.m. Some good drug. Stocks trade 16 million shares, up 100%. So we have one of these every day. Just kind of rips up.
This one's a little bit different to me because
I gotta go wide.
It looks like a normal stock. Oh! We gotta
talk quickly. You have 5 seconds.
No, I'm not going to talk quickly. All right,
go. You can't get. I get 10 words in 5 seconds. You got to talk fast.
30 seconds here.
Okay.
30 seconds here.
Spencer's going to break in with it.
PCE. We are looking
for. Mitch for telling me to go wide. By the way,
go wide.
Go wide all day.
All right, we're looking for PCE reading month over month up 0.1%. Core number is also going to match that base reading, expected up 0.1%. About 7 seconds here for breaking news.
Okay, I'll go jumpers. Really quiet
on jumpers. Every dip gets bought too. By the way,
in line.
Oh, every dip.
Every dip.
Base PCE reading in line at up 0.1%. The core reading up 0.2%. That's a little higher than expected versus the 0.1%. Year over year, PCE up 2.3% on the baseline reading. The core PCE figure year over year up 2.7%. Remember here that PCE and CPE, for example, differ just a little bit in that PCE includes services paid for goods, not just the goods themselves. So PCE is kind of a better gauge of consumer spending than like the PPI or the CPI. Just something to keep in mind. We get a little bit more color here on consumers.
They do not even give you dips anymore. We can't dip. No reason to dip.
Dennis, we are
even if it was the worst number ever, we would have dipped for like 10 seconds, and the algos would have said, "Oh, dip, buy, Mortimer, get in there, buy. We got to dip. We're down 5 S&P points. Buy." That's what they would do. That's what they do.
So pretty much in line, right?
Party goes on, new all-time highs. We're still in June. And they're even talking, about the tariffs not being a solid deadline now. Lutnick or somebody else was saying it. July,
we got to deal with China
deadline or whatever the hell it is not,
it happened
we might know.
It happened 2 days ago. Where was I? Why weren't we breaking this? Dennis, okay. Buy the dip. You're getting to buy the dip opportunity here. Just we're firm sellers here for whatever reason. For whatever reason, there's a little bit of an offer in here. In the S&Ps, we're backing off. But it's not like a whoosh. There's not the whoosh yet. We've had a 21-6. That's a 27-point range. So half of that is, I'll just say, potential support. You got to look at the pre-market low as well as yesterday's high at 6,200. So there we go. In between there, not much, but so in line, right? Pretty docile. I mean, is Powell cleaning out his desk right now, like as we speak, because we absolutely need to lower interest rates by 2 basis points? I mean, everything's fine. I mean, TLT trading in the red off this really doesn't change.
Does anybody look at the TLT anymore? Do they care? They don't care. We're in speculation mania here, Joel, and we never even worry about bad news.
Okay, I'll delete it. Mania. I'll delete TLT.
We got a 5-point dip in the S&P. The algos will be all over it. We'll be back up to the highs. This is how it works.
Tommy,
bring Tommy Lackey in.
Yeah,
I need somebody to bring me off the bull keister here. I don't want to be knocked off this bull keister here. I don't think.
Welcome to the show, Tommy Lackey, 64376.28 in the YouTube chat.
Exactly. Morning, guys. How are you?
Good. Sorry, Tommy. You tuned in early. We're a little, someone's off the rails today, and it's not me. But
I am. But Dennis, man, come on. Don't make me start calling you Dennis the Downer. Don't need
I'm the downer.
Here's my question. How old are your kids?
That's not a multiple choice question.
8 and 10.
Okay. Go enjoy them. Don't become the 80-year-old curmudgeon in your 40s.
Okay.
Look, I understand your short term, and I understand obviously that kind of defensive nature and that kind of idea helps a lot in that scenario. And in the markets we've seen for quite a few years, it's been tough because you have had a narrower looking market as far as what to work with, what to play with, as far as, and I think for someone like yourself that does move fast a lot, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I would assume you probably have a not narrow, but not a huge swath of stocks that you like to look at all the time because you like to actually learn the stock itself. You like to stay with that, like Nike. I hadn't looked at Nike in forever. I could care less. And so with that scenario, as you've known for me for years, the difference that I do is I want to go with, basically find the best set, find a market maybe that's strengthening when I can. And that's great. That's all the better. That's tailwind. But find the sectors that are working the best, the industries within those, and then the names within those. And just funnel down until I can get where I want and maybe not care as much because I'm not as smart as you about what they do. What's going on with the 5-second, my entries aren't nearly as good. So I have to have something I think is going to actually work for more than 3 minutes. So when
I'm in and out 3 times in 3 minutes.
Yeah. And so from that stance, I understand to some extent your Debbie Downer kind of attitude right here because come a long way.
Positive. We're all-time highs.
But that's my point. They've come a long way. I think the part that we've missed a lot, and I put it out this morning, is that the markets have actually been correcting for more than a month now. We've been moving sideways to a little bit higher, but that is basically, from a technician standpoint, the hardest corrective activity for anybody to understand, even good technicians, is a running correction. And that's exactly what we've seen. We've been mostly sideways to a little bit higher for a month or so, if not more, maybe 6 weeks. And now we're in a situation to where markets are actually breaking out and right there on a much higher level of breadth than when we hit these levels the first time. So we are broadening out. We are getting into a better scenario. And so where I would say is where I love, this is the most exciting market in the world to me, because I pulled up this morning, popped up one scan, 94 names, and I've got 15 we can go over that are basically in all different areas. I mean, they're in a ton of areas. Now, it's one of those things that a lot of people miss in this scenario is that, yes, and I understand why you do it with a narrower group of stocks that you really know. I mean, you know them personally. They're like your girlfriend sometime.
Oh, yeah. I was trained that way. So story behind that, Tommy. I'll take you on a tangent for a second. I started with Bright Trading in 1999. Don Bright, one of the best traders, that trained so many traders. And he would teach like new traders in his introductory courses. He says, get to know 3 or 4 stocks really, really well. Like they're like your child. We'll call them your children. And you just understand the mechanics to them, how they respond to everything, and learn to trade them and baby them and continue. And I mean, that's worked well for me for a long time. Now I'm better than 3 or 4 stocks, but I love staying inside the S&P 500. And I really like the mega caps because you know what? You get in and out really easy.
But that's my point, is it's a great strategy. And another point to make is for everybody out there listening is there are tons of great strategies. It's make sure you find the one that fits your personality. That does not fit my personality. Because I can't trade in and out 10 times in 3 minutes with everything else going on in my head and my business and all that. And at the same time, I can't be sitting there in something that has a 1 or 2 ATR. I'm just that drives me absolutely nuts. I want something that if I'm going to waste the time to go to it, I want it to move. And, we've been in these bull markets over the last couple of years that, yes, the markets are running and it's hard to find good setups to trade. And you're like, well, now what do I do? Unless I do trade those top 10 guys that have already ran and are running and all that. But at the same time, we're not there right now. You can find setups just everywhere right now, no matter what you want to look at. It's almost every industry has 2 or 3, and some of them now have the big clumps. In a quick scan of 94 this morning stocks that came up, 20 were regional banks and financials. And so, I mean, you can see spaces if you want to go with a space, or you can go with individuals. I like the hot areas that are there, that are, your AI, your quantum, your all that, because I think some of them have been holding off. Like Mitch was talking about this morning, IONQ. It's a leader in the space, and it's been sideways to pulling back for a month. There's a lot of those that are just now starting to move again because, again, everybody wants to find something to worry about every minute instead of rotating into what's working while something else is. Well, during that time, there's a lot of other quantum stuff that's ran that you should have been rotating into if you want to be in that space. Again, it's not necessarily a buy and hold space unless you're talking very small positions with trade around positions, but you can certainly rotate around inside it for a while as it stays hot.
So let's talk some of those spaces here, Tommy, because you've done a lot of scans here and obviously saying there's a lot of good setups here. Give us your best setups. Like, what are you really looking at here today?
And, that's the hardest part, and I'm going to admit that to everybody out there, is that when I get a list of 90 or 100 stocks, and then basically I have to narrow that down and say, what is my best for today? That's where all of us can make mistakes, no matter who we are. We can all make mistakes. And guess what? You're never going to pick the best one every time. Now, you can put more things in your favor the more time you take to kind of review, or the quicker you can review it, like volume footprints, things like that. Because a lot of times I've seen people who look for a great breakout or a great setup. Let me see if I can pull something real quick. I mean, there's so many in here that are just beautiful. I think I talked about this one the other day, maybe in the chat here. I know I posted it, but AEHR, and it's already, again, and this is another thing we need to discuss, is chasing or not chasing. That was the wrong
one. To chase or not to chase? That is the question.
Well, and again, for someone like you, Dennis, because I hear you talk about not chasing all the time, and I think that's phenomenal. I chase a lot because of the fact that I can make money off chasing, and I love it. And it's one of those scenarios to where sometimes my timing ain't perfect, but if I understand where I'm at and what I'm doing, I sometimes will start with a third of a position. And if it just runs, that might be the only position I end up with. But, when you look at something like this that's pulled back for a while and just recently broke out the last couple of days, I'm going to go back here if I'm going to take the time and really think, can this be one of my bigger movers? Because I've owned this thing for a long time, since back in this area. But really what it comes down to is I'm looking at volume footprints for that next level. I don't really play, is the volume breakout big or not? I want to know over the last 2 months, has the volume footprint been telling me a story and things like that? And so with a lot of these, there are lineup things. Here's PSTG that a lot of people know and all that. I was in it for that last run and then ended up getting out of some calls and have been waiting. But look at how this one's set up again. Now this one doesn't necessarily have the volume footprint since it started moving sideways, but moving up in all this, you had a lot of buys while it was there, a couple big sell-offs, but they could never break it back down below this gap. Again, by talks about closing gaps. When you can't close a gap, that's the psychological importance as well. So we need
Tommy,
to...
I just want to interrupt 1 second because we don't focus on volume here a lot.
I don't either on breakouts and things like that. But I do look back and say, what about the actual footprint of that volume?
That's what I want to know. I want Tommy Lackey.
We want you to teach us this.
Yes, dear. What is the definition of a volume footprint?
Okay, let's look at one. Let's go back here. I'm going to pull it all the way up to the front. And this is one of those scenarios to where it's something that I'm going to look at and still notice is if you look at right here. Okay, this is when PSTG was pulling back and it's down. Here you go. We'll look at this. As it's pulling back, you look right here, even on this sideways that ended up selling off, this volume footprint in here tells me there's some accumulation coming in here. It's trying to do, and then it just gets nailed. And then we have a few big days, and then all off this area, this volume footprint's good again. So, I'm looking at a little level probably in this area. I don't remember my exact price I bought in because I bought some calls. But it was somewhere in that area. And then I ended up, I'm always holding a little too long because I want them to do better. So I probably held it till probably in here. But it's one of those scenarios to where, again, this volume footprint is, I'm not looking at one day. I'm looking at, do I see a lot more green spikes, especially in sideways movement? I don't know if I'll be able to find one of those right now, but if you notice, as I flip through these charts, you're going to see a lot of similar pullbacks to where these markets have been moving sideways for over a month on a lot of these names. Not that one. But some of the big names too, Tech's a big industrial. A lot of people know this name and all this. Look where it's sitting right on this volume shelf here. RSI went straight up on the move off the lows. This is where, everybody was talking about this is the V. This is going to fail. We're going to go back and test the lows. We're going to new lows because tariffs are going to take us into a whole nother oblivion. And guess what? We move sideways. So again, you got to think past just the chart pattern is what's the psychology behind this? We got right up to a big volume level. It basically didn't go straight through it. It ate it up. And now we're starting to move through it again as markets are hitting all-time highs. I love a setup like that. My only thing about this one is if I flip back to my other charts and I pull up a different one, turn that off. We don't need that right now. And this is why I look at them all. I can look over a stock in probably about 30, 40 seconds through these 6 charts and see where I want. But if I look back here, it's just now getting over the 200-day. You have a nice consolidation here. If we can get the versus the S&P to turn over the 200-day, we're good. And I've got about a 3% ATR. That's enough. I'm not expecting Tex to be a quantum stock, but if someone wanted something slow that looks really nice and looks like it can move.
Which stock is this?
This is Terex Corporation.
Yeah,
it's been around forever. It's $3 billion company, but been around forever. Makes a lot of good stuff. But it's not fancy. So if you are worried about what's going on with the high flying stuff, great. It's not for me, but fine. You can jump over to SMG. Smith Miracle-Gro looks like it's trying to turn a little bit here. Again, it's versus the SPY. It's coming up off a little bit. You go back over here to the daily. It's moved into an RSI bull range and it's held up here. and again, comes off of lows, moves sideways, and markets have memory. So we had this low here where the markets kind of came down to and tried to rally off of. That's what stopped us a little bit. I mean, you can go into any industry you want to go into right now. I mentioned in my notes to Josh. I mean, we talked about 3M last time I was here when it was kind of pulling back in this area or starting in there. It's a scenario to where basically there's so many different setups. If you want old and stodgy, they're here. If you want basically the new stuff and all that, like IO and Q inside a hot area that's pulled back and reset up, they're here. I think y'all talked about Lunar. I think Lunar looks great. People can love it or not love it, but that daily chart right there in the middle, the RSI pulled back right to the bull range floor, held, moving back up. And even during this large pullback, the weekly RSI never broke the bull ranges either. And, that's my trend following scenario. I mean, I don't hold to it to a T, but it certainly guides me in a scenario. No chart should be something you're pigeonholed into. It should be a guide. And so there's a lot of stuff out there, no matter kind of what. I mean, this is an old stodgy, but good Lord, that's a gorgeous chart. Look at BSA, Boston Scientific. I mean, if you're a longer term buyer, if it makes it over this level right here on the weekly, I think I would definitely be there and say, hey, I'll hang out here a while. So that's a huge run coming into this on the weekly over here in the top right chart where my cursor is. Yeah. Great little consolidation, high or low. We break through these highs. I mean, is there anything more technically standard?
Tommy, just let's go top-down view here. We've had the PCE today, macro. I mean, everything's fine. We didn't even talk about the Trump, the China deals, the India deals and stuff. When you get into this kind of scenario, for targets, are you just and I try and talk about this a lot, like you look at a stock, it's going up. Oh, it's at 210. It was just at 190. I got it solid at 210. But sometimes the better scenario could be like, mentally moving that stop up and saying, hey, it takes out the highest low that it ever made, or it has a double close area that it doesn't hold. What kind of rule do you have? Hard set targets? I'm taking, because like Christian, we have him on. He's like, I'm taking off a third here. No, talk to us about your targets in a market like this.
Again, trade your personality. But never. My view is basically a scenario to where I love the idea of being able to stay with something for longer. I think targets can be a great thing for traders, and I think targets can be a terrible thing for traders. Because if you're not good discipline on your stops, then having very disciplined targets is going to be a very, very short life. Okay, because if one can only be as strong as the other. All right. So it's a scenario to where if you're real tight on your stops, or you're real disciplined on them, fine. Take a third of your target, take your targets, whatever. You're not going to have a problem there, but you do have to have a runner idea somewhere, or you're never going to hit the big ones. And that's the problem is in these markets, if you're going to go with a 40 or 50% win ratio, which is realistic, if you're going to get a 40 or 50% win ratio, you've got to have some of those at 3 or 4 times. And you're not going to have that. I have some of those in some of these quantums, things like that. And I wouldn't have had that if I had sold it at the target, because I got in before it had broken to new highs. And so it's really a scenario to where I like what I've called for years. And I thought we had talked about it, maybe not, but milestones. I never have targets. I have milestones. And so basically anytime we get to a milestone, we see how it acts at that milestone. And then once it starts acting, I can put my stop below wherever it consolidates or whatever pattern it decides to build. Yes, there are some that just sell right back off. And I'm like, dang, that stunk. But that's markets. But the reality is I feel I'm more comfortable with the idea of I'm less likely to be as chasey if I know that I know where I think it's going. If it gets there, I can look. Yeah, maybe I take a smaller position because I'm chasing a little bit. And what y'all consider chasing in me is maybe different, because to me, chasing is how far am I from that stop out point that I can find and I can feel logical about. It's not about how far the stock has moved, because Brian Shannon taught me that years ago. Of course, there is the where is it going? Where does it come from? Where is it going to? But I never really took that as a defensive thing. I took that as a, hey, you need to pay attention and really reevaluate the stock as to where we are, not as to where you started. Now, taking some profits, I do. I have a core position, and then I have what I call my ratcheting position on a lot of things, to where I'll have a position I know I want to hold till it gets to my target, and I'll have some that I might trade with on a weekly target or weekly milestone, and I have some I might trade with basically, okay, this is just slowing down here. I'm not sure I like this stall. Let me take off that extra piece. I can always add it back, but I'll keep my core position on. So again, I have 4 rules. I follow them, and that's it. I mean, I have 40, 50 holdings right now, which is way too many.
Yeah.
Way too many.
But how do you manage that many? I want to ask you, like when you're having 40 or 50 stocks, how do you manage that many holdings?
Not well sometimes. That's right now. Right now, I don't always have that, but not well. That's probably an exaggeration. I probably have 35, 40.
Still a lot of holdings.
But yes, and not well in a lot of cases, but because I do go with the setups and the chart or whatever I like based on the environment we're in, not based on one that I know. Like right now, I love these flags and these breakouts that are happening because they're working. Okay, but I'm also a sucker for a big pullback that I'm seeing some reversal action in that footprint. And so I'm a sucker for it. I think one of the ones I just recently, Kava. Let me put it on here. I'm a sucker.
Mediterranean takeout place?
Yeah.
Or sit down?
I'm a sucker for that bottom right there. So, pulled back hard. It was right there at a level. I'm a sucker for that. So I'm going to give that a shot. But
you have an out there. I mean, you kind of have an out. Tommy, before I let you go, if someone walked into the world headquarters of Relative Capital Advisors today, and they came and they said in Greensboro, Georgia, Tommy, I want to put a chunk of money in ? And you would think it's a horrible idea. Besides puts, what do you have, a sector or a group of stocks that are not on your buy radar?
I mean, I'm not really looking. I mean, honestly, right now, as strong as the markets are, there's a lot that's hard to not find 1 or 2 things inside each area if you're willing to dig. Dennis, the reason you were taught for a few stocks is because when you started so long ago, just kidding, we didn't have the computer power that I played with. And I started with filtering and scanning and sector stuff and all my breadth stuff and all that. So I was always calculating different, how do I find and funnel? And so, I'm not into the defensive stuff right now because I don't see any reason to be, because it just doesn't have the ATR I want to trade on. It's not worth my time for my money. That's what the problem is now is where do I allocate? Not, is there something to allocate to? And that's why I want Dennis to be happier. He just
Dennis is happy.
I'm never happy.
Be happy.
Okay. Appreciate it, guys. I really had a blast.
Yeah, Tommy, this has been a great session. We went a little over time with you. Our subs in the Stock Trader Network really enjoy you. I'm gonna talk to you next week. We gotta hear more of Tommy Lackey. Great guest.
Look forward to it.
Great information. Tommy Lackey, Relativity Capital.
All right, you guys have a great one. We'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so we're gonna go quad D. And then make the last D downer. Dennis, Dale, Dick, downer.
I don't know. I didn't think I was being down today. I thought I was being upbeat. That's the funny thing is, like, we're all-time highs, which I've been calling for. Like, let's call this, like, I've not been bearish at all for 6 weeks here now. So I know, like, I get on here and I'm, like, sarcastic with the market. It's true. The market doesn't go down. So why in the hell am I going to be trading anything? I'm full of a bunch of crap in my portfolio right now, like dogs of dogs, because these dogs are barking. Like I was even playing AMC the other day. I'm like, everything is moving now. So I'm like, that's where we're at with speculations running rampant. Yet I'm always ready for a rug pull. I'm always protective. It's my, like, I'm a risk manager first. So I'm always cautious. I'm always diversified. I'm always ready for the next rug pull. But I tell you right now, Like just blindly buying anything is making money.
I have
like
a new.
There's a million setups for Tommy Lackey because there's a million things just going higher. And like you said, it's everything going higher now. Before it was just some select stocks, but now you're starting to see a lot of other names starting to turn and move. Stocks that have been the gutter starting to go, and that's the bull market for you. And I mean, they're talking about kicking the can down the road on the tariffs now too. So taco trade back on. So it's hard to be bearish here. So I'm not sitting here shorting stocks and saying, man, I wish these stocks would take. I love stocks when they're going down. They go down a lot faster than they go up, and you make more money. But you know what? You've got to adjust your strategies. And right now we're in a bull market, and almost all of my strategies are to the bullish side.
Brent, can you come on for a quick sec here? Because I just want to we'll talk about our new indicator from from the post show. No, you didn't. Our new indicator.
What's that?
When they're talking about stocks in the STN room and trying to long in it and overnight or something, and then it says, "Why the hell not?"
Why the hell not?
Well, in this
literally,
market?
like we're
Why
at
the
a
hell
point
not?
in the STN room right now where somebody gives an idea, and I was like, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. As long as it's long, I'm not doing any shorts. And they're all working. Like I said it again, like the other day, I was like, they all worked. It's been like the theme this week. Everything worked because we're playing from the long side and everything is just going up. It's not that we're genius stock pickers. It's just everything going up. So I'm like, everything's working. I'll buy that. You know, we're doing like Sound Hound and we're doing like
half size. Like if he doesn't know the stock and it trades by,
I do it anyways right now because we're in a bull market.
I'll get out. I think I'll be able to get out eventually.
Well, and I know you joke like that, but you know me, Joel. I'm a very much risk manager. I cut losses quickly. The reason I've been successful for so long, stop for this for a minute here, because some people maybe don't know. The reason I've been successful in trading for so long is not that I'm a great stock picker. It's not that I know how to I've got a crystal ball and I know where stocks are going. It's that I cut the losers. 100% it's I cut the losers. The stock starts going against me, I cut the loser. It's why I don't trade stuff like CYN, because it's too wild for me to even control that. I don't know where to get out on that, even though I did trade it last night, but it's still too, I do it smaller size because it's too hard to control the risk on something like that. So I'm always risk first. Like Tommy is saying, you can chase, but you got to have your risk. CYN's a tough one, man. I'd like to know if Tommy's trading something like CYN. Because this thing moved from 5 to 40 to 13 to 25. I'm like, that's hard for me to control risk. And that's why I just can't trade that stuff. But there's so many other cool things to trade. Like such a great segment with Tommy. There's so many, good things moving higher here right now. And all this other stuff's working. Like I've always been one that don't jump on a moving train. Meaning if it's ripping it just went up 10% in the last 10 seconds. I'm not chasing that. But it doesn't matter if it's moving up and it's been consolidating and now it's a consolidation to move higher. You're not chasing at that point in time. So I think we need to define what chasing is as well. Because chasing, like something like CYN, is chasing to me. It just went from 13 to 25 overnight. I'm like, that's chasing. I don't know when that thing's going to rug pull and pull it out for me. Something like, we were talking with the BGL this morning. Well, that's chasing. The stock just went from 21 to 96. It's got a 5-point spread, and maybe it's going to 150 or 200, but I don't know when the rug pull's coming here either. Think about the chasers yesterday in CYN. They're buying 13, 15, 20, 30, 40. We're going to 100. Oh no, offering. Now we're back at 13. Now they're sitting here stuck. So that's why I think it's important to define what chasing is. Chasing isn't, a fact that the stock's up like NVIDIA has moved up, 70%. Well, that's not chasing. To Tommy's point, it was in consolidation station for the last month. It's just starting to go here again now.
Yeah.
So that's not chasing. So I think we need to define what chasing is. Chasing in my book is like these high flyers that you just, are all over the place. NVIDIA, consolidation station for a month, just starting to go here now. It's just making new all-time highs. I don't feel like you're chasing NVIDIA here.
Real quick, just Tommy made a lot of great points, but I think one of the highlight of the interview for me is when he talked about chasing. He was like, "Hey, I'll put a third on, right?" And then he said, "That may be the only part of the position I have. I may never get the other 2/3 on." So, yeah, is he upset that he didn't have his full asset allocation to it? But he had a piece of it. He's participating in it. and he'll look for re-entry points. If the re-entry points don't come, then it is. So it's a good way, and I think Christian does that a lot too.
CYN another offering right now.
Another dual offering.
So this is how quickly the rug pull happens. I just use it as an example at 25. I was like, I don't know when the next rug pull is coming. It came 1 minute after I just said that. It's 19. CYN announces a $17.2 million at 9 o'clock. Watch those 9 o'clock news dumps. Today, CYN today announces entered into a definitive agreement in registered direct offering with a single institutional investor for the purchase and sale of 17.2 million shares of common stock and pre-funded warrants at a price of $7.50
$7.50.
stock. $7.50. They just did like 70% under where it was trading.
I'm a buyer at $7.50.
They only got their pricing at $5.01 yesterday, so why not go back and tap at a much better price? I don't know how much better $7.50 is, but
it'd be better to sell it in the open market. Holy mackerel, man! I know it doesn't raise you money when you're selling it when they don't have any stock, but wow, that's a big, and again, there's a rug pull. There's a fundamental rug pull. Headline trading works. Like that's like headlines. The algo's like head, 750. Doesn't mean it's going down to 750 because now you got the other algos that are like, oh, it's a dip to buy. But you're fighting and competing algos here. But this is the thing. When something like this is trading, how do you control it? It's went from 26 to 19 in 2 minutes. That's hard to trade.
Okay. All right. Boy, we did not get to a lot of stuff here. We'll pick it up in the STN room. We didn't even talk about the trade deal. We didn't get to ratings. But real quickly, two things. In the STN room today, we are going to have CC Legator. He's going to be walking a new person through the Options AI platform, showing how to get most use of that. So I know CC is a crowd favorite here. So please join us from that. And what better person to have on Monday than Statman Do? Ryan Dietrich joining us here on Pre-Market Prep, folks. We're out. Happy Friday.